A few statistical highlights as this sellout crowd of 73,000 files out of the Cotton Bowl. Dwayne Thomas carried 30 times this afternoon for 132 yards. Walt Garrison, 17 carries for 70 yards. Morton, 4 out of 18 for 38 yards. Landry had 5 out of 12 for 48. Munson, 2 out of 8 for 54. And the Lions' leading rusher was Mel Farr with 13 carries for 32 yards. So that's the story. Now we take you to Dick Stockton in CBS Control for Pro Football Report.
Thank you, Frank Lieber. And a superb football game it was, 5-0. A couple of weeks ago, the Dallas Cowboys won in another baseball score type game, 6-2 over the Cleveland Browns. They won in the mud in Cleveland. They had to win that one. They had to win their last game of the season against Houston. This has been the story of the Dallas Cowboys of 1970, and one of the teams, the Lions or the Cowboys, had to win that 6th in a row today. It was Dallas in a thrilling game, 3-0 going into the final period. And then, of course, the Cowboys gambled. They didn't make it, but of course they trapped Greg Landry in the end zone for a safety to make it 5-0. Bill Munson took over for the Lions and drove the team down. Earl McCullough made an exceptionally clutch catch deep in Dallas territory. It was probably the deepest penetration of the day for the Lions to about the 29-yard line, but the key play that ended it all was an interception at the end, and there was more than just the interception. Here is Bill Munson going back to throw. It's deflected off of the arm of Earl McCullough and intercepted by Mel Renfro, number 20. And after this play was over, Earl McCullough took off his helmet and he threw it hard to the artificial turf. Despair for the Detroit Lions. It was that kind of a game. We have a room full of Dallas Cowboys. We have Bob Lilly. We have Henry Jordan. Leroy Jordan. We have the quarterback Craig Morton. We have Dwayne Thomas, who gained over 130 yards today. And of course, the winning head coach, Tom Landry of the Dallas Cowboys, plus videotape highlights. So we'll be back in just a moment as the NFL Today continues with Pro Football Report.
You're on the right track with Firestone.
Firestone raised white letter tires for your kind of car, your kind of driving. At your Firestone dealer's High Performance Center.
Right track with Firestone.
Firestone, the mileage specialist.
When you work up a big thirst, you can have a drink, or you can have Gatorade Thirst Quencher. The professional thirst quencher. Other drinks wet down a thirst. Gatorade quenches it. Gatorade is different than juices or fruit drinks or soda pop or water. Research men created it. Thousands of athletes swear by it. Gatorade Thirst Quencher, the professional thirst quencher.
Tom Landry, the winning coach, you must be out of breath and you must be excited. Congratulations on winning this very important game. Let me ask you, you've been in so many important contests in your career as a player and as assistant coach and as a head coach. How do you rate this game with them?
This is the greatest win that we've ever had, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think there's any question about it, because it was kind of a game. It was a shame either club had to lose because they came from so far back, to get into this playoff. But we're so happy that it was us, of course, that won this thing. And it was a great tribute to the fellas, because they played superb ball in these last 5 games, and they were never better than they were today.
Tom, your team has not given up a touchdown in some 20 quarters now, which is probably the greatest testimonial to an excellent defense. Today, once again, you stopped the Detroit Lions, and especially you stopped their running attack. What must you say about this defensive club of yours?
Well, when the season started this year, I felt like this was the best defensive club we've ever had here. We didn't play it well early, but in the last 4 or 5 games, they've started to play together very well, and they've just gelled, and they've done a fantastic job, and you have to credit the defense to win today. It's a great team effort, but I think their safety down there when we tried to gamble and lost was really a big play.
Let me ask you about that. It's been said many times that you don't give up the points if you can get them. And at that point, had you made good on a field goal, you would have had a 6-0 lead, and only a touchdown would have beaten you. As it turned out, of course, the gamble didn't work, and it paid off anyway because you trapped Landry for a safety. But why did you decide to go for the points under the circumstance and give up 3 and take the risk of having Detroit perhaps tie the score with a field goal and send it into sudden death?
Well, it's not my nature to do this, as you probably would be aware of. I don't listen to fans too much, but I do listen to players some, and I just felt the players wanted to go for it so badly that I just couldn't deny them the chance to do it.
Were there key plays, one or two, or maybe just one that you can recall that told you that your club was going to go down to the end, battle to the end of this contest, and it was going to be the kind of game it was?
Well, in a game like this, you really can't pick out any key play that would tell you which way it's going to go, because the momentum can change so quickly when you got two good teams working there, and I really couldn't pick out any one thing. I knew when we ran the ball so well, in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter there, I knew that our chances were very good to win at that time.
Was this not a day for passing?
Well, it was a day for passing. We weren't really too successful throwing the ball, and neither was Detroit, but I think it was more to the excellent defenses that were working out there than anything else.
I think a lot of time the news media, build up and glorify teams. You won 5 in a row to get here, and now you've won 6 in a row. What happens? So where do you draw the line? Where does the team cross the line where they decide that they're not going to give up and play out the season? Where do they decide that they are going to come back and battle despite the adversity?
Well, I would pinpoint that point as the St. Louis game when we got beat 38-0. That's the point. You can't get much lower than this, and this is the time we turned it around, the time our players started to say, well, if we're going to do anything, we better do it now. And they just did an amazing job.
Finally, Coach, I have to ask you this. After the heartbreaking defeats to the Green Bay Packers and, of course, the losses to the Cleveland Browns, do you think now that the club is over those psyche problems that the press has kept on harping on throughout the past couple of years?
Oh, I think we're over it. I don't think this team will ever have any trouble like that again. I think there was too much made out of it. We were beaten by very good football teams in the Green Bay Packers, and it just seemed like everybody talked about it enough, so we finally got psyched out ourselves, and we couldn't play football anymore. But this is all behind us right now, and you won't see this club do this anymore.
Any preference on who you'd like to play in the NFC Championship game?
Not really. They're two excellent football teams, and they're going to have a whale of a battle.
You'd be at home if Minnesota wins.
Yes, that would be good, but we'll be out in San Francisco, I guess, if San Francisco wins.
Tom Landry, once again, congratulations on a very big win today.
Very much. Appreciate it.
Tom Landry, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, winners today 5-0. And we'll be back with more of the Dallas Cowboy players, Frank Gifford, and videotape highlights in just a moment.